Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Alexandria. I am a registered nurse and a health content freelance writer, and today I'm going to be talking about interviewing subject matter experts. So if you haven't heard from me before, I have created this channel as a way to communicate with other nurses and healthcare professionals who are thinking about freelance writing and really kind of have no idea how to get started. So if you like what you hear, please subscribe to this channel. Okay, subject matter experts and when to interview them and why we might interview them. So let's start with when we interview subject matter experts, or who they are first. Subject matter experts are people who have experience or some type of education and training in a specific topic. This can be cardiovascular care, for example. This can be mental health. This can be labor and delivery, but then this can also be from the patient's experience, right? Because because they're the patient and maybe not the person who went and got a dozen years of experience doesn't mean that they're not fully cognizant and able to fully discuss a medical condition. And then subject matter experts can be experts in any topic that's not necessarily related to healthcare or medical conditions, but for the sake of this video, that's what we're going to be talking about. So when do you interview subject matter experts? So it depends. For example, if you are on a paid writing assignment and your client says that it's a part of the clause for you to write an assignment to have a subject matter expert, then you'll need to include one. Now, on the flip side of that, if you're writing health content for your own blog or for someone else and it's not written anywhere that you need a subject matter expert, then you probably don't need one. But it's always a good idea to ask ahead of time whether or not you need to interview participants for your articles. And believe me, I have been through this. I have written for clients who did not have articles, or they've asked me, for example, to spruce up an old article and get it ready for publication with any updated information about a specific medical condition or about a medication or whatever. And that article maybe didn't have any subject matter experts, and most of the time they would say, oh no, it's not a requirement, don't need one. The one time I didn't ask, they actually wanted me to have subject matter experts. So be sure that you're asking people ahead of time if this is something that they want, especially if you have, if you're in the beginning stages of working with that client and you're really just not sure kind of what they want and how effectively they may communicate about their needs. It's not that, they're just bad communicators. It's just that sometimes you're not the only person that's writing for them that's on their team, and they thought they might have explained something and maybe they just didn't, and that's okay. Okay, so I want to talk to you guys about how to prepare for an interview with a subject matter expert. And I want to talk about this because a lot of people just don't know, and they find themselves intimidated by interviewing people who they don't know. And this is why it's really important to remember that freelance writing is definitely under the umbrella of journalism. So there will be times where you will have to be an interviewer. And honestly, I find it to be kind of fun because I get to ask questions that I want to know about and hope that other people want to know these questions too. You really hope that the questions that you're asking are burning questions for the vast majority of your readers. And sometimes it comes off that way and sometimes maybe it doesn't, but it's okay. It's all a learning process. So before you start your interview, there's a few things that you should do. The first thing is to prepare your questions. This is important because you need to have a flow of your questions, and really one question should kind of lead into the next. There should be themes or specific topics that you want to talk about with that subject matter expert within their scope of expertise. And if you can find the time to prioritize your questions, it's going to make your conversation flow. I've been taught that interviews, when like some of the best interviews, they really are more of conversations than they are of interviews. And when you get to that point, you're golden. You're gonna be just fine. Another piece to remember is to think about whether or not you want to record your interviews. And this is really important too, because when you need to go back and write your content, let's say that you remember something that they said and you wrote it down really quickly and it really stood out, but you know that you missed the remainder of their statement. Did you record it? If not, it's going to be hard to get the exact verbiage from that person, unless you're asking questions that they have answers for, that they've studied over and over and over again. And so my recommendation is that if you are going to record, be sure that you let the interviewee know that you are recording, and give them an opportunity to decline being on the record. It's also really important in journalism. If you're going to interview people, you cannot get them recorded and they not give you consent. So really important that you talk through that before you hit the record button. And then the other thing to remember before an interview, respect their time. Interviews, it really varies. Sometimes they can take 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Those are pretty standard times. Other times it might take you 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how long the feature is, depending on the questions that you're asking and how much meaty material they're giving you. And that's okay, but make sure that you stay on topic so that you can stay on time. People are busy. Even if you're interviewing the everyday person who's retired, that doesn't mean that because they seem to not have anything going on, that they indeed have nothing going on. So make sure that you're being mindful of your time as the interview is going. Now, after the interview, be sure to thank them, and then also be sure to let them know of next steps. Let them know how long you think it'll be before the article is going to print. Be sure to let them know about how they can find the article. I always like to follow up with my interviewees with a link once the article is published. And this is, you're going to find a lot of people that you may interview want to have a link so that they can put it in their portfolio, that they've been interviewed by you for a specific topic that they are intending to be an authoritative figure in. That's all I have on this topic. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe to this channel.